Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Red, White, and Roofless. It is your friend from the other channel that you might not know of, Go Bills Podcast. I'm along here with my friend Sean Kula from the Red, White, and Bills. We are the Red, White, and Roofless, and we are back after about a month of a hiatus. We had to start off and figure out what to talk about after a disappointing offseason or a disappointing end of the season for the Buffalo Bills, and a little bit of a disappointing offseason that we saw so far with a lot of players leaving the Buffalo Bills, players such as Mitch Morse, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, and many others that are leaving. We will get to that along with some free agent additions and splashes that the Bills could make, along with a mock draft and a few other things that we're going to talk about today on the Red, White, and Roofless. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Red, White, and Roofless. I am your host, Brett McDurphy. I'm joined with my partner, Sean Kula, who is the coolest man alive. You cannot beat him whatsoever. He has the coolest beard also. I think it's great that I get to see him back on the camera again. It's been a while. We talk all the time, but I get to see his face again, which is pretty cool. But listen, this is the Red, White, and Roofless. We are on Nickel City Mafia, where our family business is football. Don't forget to also like, subscribe, and follow this channel. And also don't forget that in the description below on YouTube as well as on Facebook, you can click on over to our Discord channel. If you enter into that Discord channel, you can be added into our giveaway that we are going to be giving away. It is a promotion that we're giving away for a $100 gift card. It's free to do. You don't have to worry about anything. If you have any questions on how to get involved in it, or you don't know how to sign up for Discord, don't forget to click on over to our Instagram channel. You can send a message over to Mike Fortin on Instagram at Nickel City Mafia, or you can send a message to one of us on Instagram. We are both on there, Red, White, and Bills, as well as Go Bills Podcast. But today we are going to be talking about the main topic that we've had so far, a roster overhaul that is unprecedented, but it needed to happen. The Bills were about $40 million over the cap this week, and the Bills saved about $37 million, which is pretty good for them. There's some moves that we can still make to get under the salary cap, but right now we are sitting at about $7 million over the cap. Now, there's some restructures, some trades that we could see happening, maybe even some extensions. But Sean, I want to start with you and your thoughts on some of the subtractions that we've had. And I'm just going to name them off, some of the players that we did lose: Mitch Morse, center Mitch Morse, cornerback Tre'Davious White, safety Micah Hyde, running back Nyheim Hines, wide receiver Deontay Hardy, all salary cap casualties that the Bills had to get rid of. Now, there's some players that we are going to see be not be coming back after the free agent market. But let's talk about the players that were released from the Buffalo Bills this week. And let's talk about some of the time that they spent with the Buffalo Bills as well. And I'd like for you to do this too, Sean. Give us a little bit of the highlight reel that you can remember, the best memory that you have with these players as well.
Well, first off, if I'm going to do highlights, I mean, Nyheim Hines was just the kick return touchdowns. I mean, when I think of Micah Hyde, I think of that pick against Mac Jones in the playoffs when it was like one of the best passes I've ever seen. I said, oh man, that's a touchdown. They're back in this game. Then all of a sudden, Micah Hyde comes up with the ball. And then, Jordan Poyer, he's just exemplary leader on the field. Tons of great plays. And then Mitch Morse is just, you think of another great leader who, is not just athletic and skilled, but very intelligent and was one of the focal points on our offensive line. So, the memories are endless. And, as a fan, we all like these players. at the end of the day, it's all about the Buffalo Bill. It's all about the logo. So I made a video about it a couple days ago. So if you haven't checked it out, go over and check it out. But basically, I mentioned how, at the end of the day, we probably could have guessed all these moves were coming. There were older, aging players on horrible contracts as far as money goes in this situation. We kicked the can down the road for so long, and this is a result of that. And I've been vocal about my Brandon Beane criticism. And a lot of people will think, oh well, Brandon Beane's a genius because he got us from negative 40 million to positive, but we'll fail to mention how he was the reason that we were negative 40 million in the first place with all these bad contracts, all the kicking the can down the road, and then eventually you got to eat it. And now we're paying for it by getting rid of players that we probably could have kept. But the one thing that messed me up the most about it was, of course, I'll miss the players, of course, all the memories, and we love the guys. But again, I'm all about the Buffalo. And I was mainly angry about how we didn't have a center replacement. We didn't have a corner replacement. We didn't have a safety replacement already in the building. And what I mean by that is, I mentioned in the video I made, you got to think about this in like a 2 to 3 year, maybe even 5 year plan. So if Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott at the end of 2 years ago sat down and said, man, I don't see Jordan Poyer here in 3 years. I don't see Mitch Morse here in 3 years. I don't see Trey White here in 3 years. You should have had that conversation. And if the answer was no, I don't see these guys here in 3 years, then you start drafting. You got 2 years to draft at least if it's a 3-year plan. And you say, after the third year, I don't see them here. You got at least 2 years to try at each position, and you can trade them for more assets. So if you thought Trey White wasn't going to be here, you should have traded him before he had those 2 season-ending injuries. Maybe you could have got something out of him. Or Mitch Morse, if you thought he wasn't going to be here, you could have traded him last year or the year before that. And then even now, he's already got other teams. He was phenomenal. And he's going to be on another team, and we got nothing for these guys. We cut them, and we're paying them still. So that was my main gripe. It's not about the players getting cut. It's about the ineptitude of Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott to thoroughly think about a plan. And I mean, I will give it to them. We tried with Kyer Elam.
Right.
Is it 100% a fail? No, not necessarily. But what we did do, which is still good, we did what Miami Dolphins do. They couldn't draft a replacement, so they paid for another guy. So they couldn't draft Xavier Howard's replacement, so they paid for Jalen Ramsey. So again, eventually this will come back on us. So we got Rasul Douglas because Kyer Elam failed. If Kyer Elam didn't fail, we would never have gotten Rasul Douglas. So, at this point in time, it's just a frustrating aspect for me. I assume that we were going to cut all these people, maybe not Mitch, but we talked about it as a possibility. So mainly I'm just angry about not being prepared for the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and this is the situation that the Bills got in, paying for players that we thought that were going to be long-term solutions, and we thought that Tre'Davious White was going to be one of those, but we did it after a season-ending ACL injury, and then we thought that Tre'Davious was going to be able to come back, play like he was before that injury, and it didn't happen. He had another injury to his Achilles this time, but 2 major leg injuries, only playing in 10 games throughout the 2 years after that, and it was just time for the Bills to get rid of him. And it's tough to say. This is a business. We love him. I think the Bills and everybody in the locker room loves him, and I wouldn't be surprised if his market doesn't work out and they decide that maybe he can come back on a short-term deal, maybe save a little bit of money, which would probably be where I think that they're going to go. He's a very good vocal leader inside the Bills locker room, and I think he would fit very well for the next couple of years, but you just cannot command $16 million after 2 season-ending injuries. That's just where it stands. And don't be surprised. Maybe some of these players do come back to Buffalo. Like I said, this isn't the end of everything. Maybe this is just a move to save some money. We could see guys like Mitch Morse come back, even though we are paying him a little bit, but we could save a couple $1 million on the salary cap. That could very well be where we're at. So I'm not ruling it out of the equation, but it seems like if you are getting rid of a player, that's usually the sense that they are going to be moving on from that player. Don't really
Right.
see it happening after the first contract where they're gonna keep him. It's usually that's when it happens towards the end of training camp or something like that. That's when you see players come back on low deals, but don't be surprised about that. I mean, we could see a couple guys come back, and I wouldn't be shocked on that.
Yeah,
So
they had to know it was coming. You know, that's you know, people crown Beane a genius, but he didn't understand that people get older. Apparently, he forgets that everybody has a birthday every year. And you know, even just use Mitch Morse and Jordan Poyer as an example. Even if they stayed, this was their last year. Do we have their replacements in the building yet? No. So they were not prepared. I mean, I guess Taylor Rapp, but that wasn't the plan up until last year, and it wasn't a guy that you're on a rookie deal with. So it's you know, frustrating, but you know, considering the last couple of drafts, we did a lot of trading back, you know, acquiring picks instead of using the picks to get replacement players, and then especially center. The last 2 years, there was a couple great centers that got drafted between first round and seventh round that are on teams right now, and we could have had them in the building. And you know, we brought Alec Anderson back, but still, it's like I rather draft have drafted a better quality with a player with higher potential. But sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
No, you're right. I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up as well. That's a very good point. I do want to get to the chat real quick. I apologize. I'm stuttering my words, but I do want to get to the chat. We do have a few people coming in. I do want to say hello to Bills fan CA, saying that we look great, guys, so far. Welcome back. It's great to be back on the channel, Mike. We really appreciate you for tuning in. Trek Reviewer coming in as well. Not Cam, but DBs. There's a couple safeties that he likes in the that we could get, and Gilman and Jeremy Chin. I think that would be a great fit as well. Also seeing a few more chats coming in. Time for UFL football, which is coming up. March 30th is when it's coming up. So saying hello to time for UFL. It's coming up on the 30th, but we also have a question coming out here in the chat from him saying, how many picks do we have? We do have 11 picks. That's another question, or not question, but comment that we will bring up in a little bit. The Bills did get their compensatory pick back for the Tremaine Edmonds move where he signed with the Chicago Bears. Did not get a third-round pick like we thought we would. The 99th pick is where we thought we were going to get. Bills got a fourth-round pick. I believe the number was 133 is where we're going to pick for that one. So you can think what you want to on that. I know a lot of Bills Mafia is disappointed, like myself, that we didn't get that third-round pick, but that's the way that it is. And I think that there's going to be probably some type of maybe petition or something like that to get that third-round pick back, and I wouldn't be surprised on that. Also, Trek Reviewer coming in saying Nickel City Mafia, or maybe we use him to move up and draft Joe Alt. That's a good possibility too.
So that means we don't have a third-round pick at all.
So we don't, but we do have.
We traded our third-round pick for Rasul Douglas because we thought we were getting the third-round compensatory pick. So,
right. So I do want to go over the draft picks that the Bills do have so far, just to make sure everybody is aware of where we stand right now. We do have a first-round pick. It is the 28th pick in the first round. The second-round pick that the Bills will have will be pick number 60 in the draft. We do not have a third-round pick right now after trading for Rasul Douglas. We gave up our third-round pick, but we do have two fourth-round picks at pick number 127 along with 133, which is the compensatory pick that the Bills will get for Tremaine Edmonds. The Bills did get a fifth-round pick from Chicago for that's the 143rd pick. Then the Bills got a fifth-round pick from Green Bay in the Rasul Douglas trade. That's the 159th pick, along with another fifth-round pick, which is probably where we're going to see the Bills start to move up in the draft after these three fifth-round picks. That's their own pick, the 162nd pick. Two sixth-round picks, the 188th from the LA Rams, along with the 199th pick from the Dallas Cowboys. Then they will have their sixth-round pick at 203, and then their seventh-round pick at 248. So that's where we stand. This year's draft will take place in Detroit from April 25th to the 27th is where it stands. So a couple more weeks until the draft. And the Bills did get the 5th round pick from Ryan Bates going over to the Bears. That's a good point from Bills fans TA. Appreciate him bringing that up. But Sean, let's talk about some of the upcoming moves that the Bills could make to overhaul the roster even more. And I think that the Bills aren't done with the possibility of overhauling and getting rid of some of the big cap hits that they have on their roster. Do you think that there could be another move that the Bills make that could get them under the salary cap as far as maybe a release from another veteran player?
I don't think so. I think they're done with that. I think now they're just in the renegotiating or restructure time. We're not that far away. We're only $7 million away, and then we get an extra 10 on June 2nd. So I don't think they'll be cutting another veteran player. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see a guy like Dawkins get extended. That's definitely a possibility. He's still, under 30 years old. He's a pivotal part to our offensive line. So I can see him getting extended. Maybe even a guy like Teron Johnson might get extended again, or who knows? Maybe they'll give Bernard a contract early, beginning of year 3. Which you do have talks in year 3 because he's not a first round pick, so he doesn't get a 5th year option. So they will be talking anyway. This year, beginning probably right now they're talking, but yeah, it'll be interesting. But as far as I go on bringing in free agents now, remember the way we did it, the way we've been doing it. This is going to happen again in another 3 or 4 years where you kick the can down the road to a certain point. Now you're negative 50 in cap, and you got to get rid of all your key players. So this would be Osiris Torrance is gone, Teron Johnson is gone, Bernard's gone. This will be the cycle in the next 4 or 5 years. So for me, bringing in free agents, I want to bring in very, very cheap players. Yeah. I don't want to bring in a free agent that's going to be like a 1 year, $10 million edge rusher or or whatever or a 2 year deal for what, like we did with Hardy, all that stuff. I don't want to do any of that. I'm looking for guys that are going to be very cheap and they're young. And then if they're cheap and young and it works out, you got the young aspect. You're not paying for an older player, and then maybe it can work out. So I did get a couple people, 2 centers and a defensive end that I looked at that are probably going to be cheap. It didn't have their market value on the site I was looking at, probably because it's going to be extremely low. So it'll be interesting. So when we talk about that, unless you want to get into that now,
I was going to say, let's get into it now. I mean, okay. You brought it up. I mean, you got to talk about it now. So just to let everybody know what we're going off of, this is off of Spot Track. This is one of the main ones that we go off of. It's great to see a lot of the players that you can find for the free agent market is already giving you some of the free agents of the Buffalo Bills, and other teams have already re-signed. So right now there are, according to them, 668 free agents that will be from the 2024 free agent class. So 3 of them so far have signed. 2 of them have been with the Buffalo Bills so far. Mm-hmm. So that's where we stand so far. One of them signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was I'm trying to remember who it was, but I want to say it was Okafor is the one that signed with the Steelers. So that's where we stand right now. But Sean, let's go back and forth. We can talk about our free agent bargains. This is the main point of the show. We're going to get into what we like to call the magic bean pot that we get to see, and dive into that magic bean pot and do it the right way. We won't sell the farm for magic beans or whatever. We'll do it the right way. You hit the bargain market. We'll go into the flea market, hit that bargain market, find some players. Let's give you your number one pick that you have for your free agency bargains that the Bills can make.
Well, to go to Roy's comment quick, he's right about you can't sign yet, but they will be in talks. So to try to figure out numbers in year 3. So thanks for the correction on that. But that's something I definitely want them to be absolutely doing, is figuring that out. Because if he has another big year, that might be tough. But the first, I'm going to go with an edge rusher for my first I can guarantee this is going to be very cheap. And the reason I picked this guy was because he was mocked going to the Bills the year we took Epinesa, I believe. It might have been maybe the year before that. But Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end for the Carolina Panthers, he had 5 sacks last year and 19 solo tackles. So it's not great. But remember, Carolina Panthers defense was pretty bad. And, he's definitely going to be cheap. He's probably going to be cheaper than AJ Epinesa. And AJ Epinesa is already coming in cheap, apparently $5.6 million annual salary. So we should bring him back anyway. But if you want to be even cheaper than that, I can promise you that our boy Yetur Gross-Matos will be cheaper. He's 26 years old, so he's still young. Again, not much production as far as sacks go, but he was a guy that was mocked to Buffalo often that year that he was drafted. I can't remember the year. It might have been 2019 or 2020. Really can't remember it. But yeah, he's a cheap guy who maybe with Bobby Babich, young mind, might be able to produce as a backup role on a very, very good deal. Again, like Matt Chatter said, he's not that good. Obviously, stay away from him. But that's what we're stuck with now because of Brandon Beane's management of the team. And again, he might not have worked out in Carolina, but he might work out in Buffalo. And again, my mantra for this is just very cheap player, young player, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I understand exactly where you're going with this. I mean, that's a very good pick. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go based off of a player that was picked in the 6th round of the 2018 draft. He has a high motor, and I'm surprised that he was actually released, to be honest with you, by the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bills have already brought him in for a visit, and I think that this player would be a great fit. And I'm going to go with Foley Fatukasi. Hard to say that name, just to be honest with you. But he represents exactly what Buffalo is looking at. If you go with his snap counts overall throughout the last couple of years, right around 35 to 47% of the snaps that he's played. Last year, he had a little bit of a down year, but he did sign a massive deal. It was $10 million, but I think that number is going to be a lot less. And with the Bills going after Daquan Jones, and I do think that they're going to bring him back, I feel like the second player that the Bills are going to look to get to create a three-headed tandem in the defensive tackle room is going to be Foley Fatukasi. I think he would be exactly what Buffalo wants. Now, this is a player that has been relatively healthy, playing 74 games throughout the last 6 years, which is pretty good. 12 to 13 games. The first year that he was in the league, he only played in 1 game. But overall, the last 5 years, playing in 14 to 15 games per year. And then he's also been the type of player that has a high motor, which is exactly what Buffalo is looking for. 24 tackles over the last 2 years, having 45 in 2021 with the New York Jets. And I strongly believe that this is the type of guy that would fit the Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott type of room. High motor, high energy type of player that can come in and get the engine rolling and with a big motor.
Yeah, I like that. And as soon as I saw that he was released, I thought, I think we're going to talk to him at least. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that in one bit.
And John Roberts, right, he is 29 years old, just to let us know. And assuming he is a one tech, that is correct. He could play the one tech role for the Buffalo Bills and be a run stuffer. That's exactly what I'm going for with these picks.
Nice.
So, Sean, who is your second pick?
I'll bring up Mike's just before we move on. I think he was talking about Yetur over here. I don't hate Matos move. Former second rounder, 6'5", 265, 4.5 sacks last year. Right team. Yeah, that's what I was thinking maybe, but we'll see. But so my last 2 people are center, so I'll go with one because one of them didn't really play much. His name is Aaron Brewer, 26 years old, from the Titans. And I know you're shaking your head, but hear me out. Their offensive line.
I'm shaking my head because you stole my pick is what I'm going with. I'm not happy about that. So now I have to go with another one.
That's okay. Well, Aaron Brewer, I mean, the Tennessee offensive line the last 2 years went from being, well, before the last 2 years, they were one of the best O-lines. The last 2 years, they've been bottom 3 in the NFL. And I'm not going to say it's all because of this guy. I think it's what's been around him. So just for reference, he gave up 34 total pressures this year. Our Mitch Morse, who was one of the best centers in the NFL, gave up 31. However, Mitch Morse only gave up 1 sack, and then Brewer gave up 6. 3 of them were in one game. So, he had a rough day. But I think, again, he's 26 years old. He's kind of short. He's 6'1". He's not the biggest center. But I think, if we keep McGovern at guard and Torrance keeps taking the next step because he was very, very, very good this year, and him and Brown both need to produce what they did last year and better, I think this could be a good guy to bring in, at least for a competition. If they don't think he's going to be a starter, you can draft someone. Then you got Brewer, the guy you draft, who we're going to talk about later in the future, coming in the coming weeks. And then you got why am I forgetting his name? Alec Anderson. So you got a 3-way competition. And again, he's not the best center in the world, but he's young. And with Aaron Cromer and how offensive line was ranked number 6 last year, I've been saying it. I said it since week 1. I feel like I was one of the only voices in the community that was caping for this offensive line. And I think that he can come in here and maybe not be Mitch Morse right away, but I think he can do pretty good here, given the opportunity. So sorry, you can still talk about him, even though I took your guys. So if you want to mention.
No, I mean, you stole my guy, but I mean, I was going to go with another player, but I'm trying to remember who it is, and I'm drawing a blank on it.
But I got one more quick anyways. There's not much to say about this guy. But so Brian Allen from the Rams, another center. He's 28. He was drafted in 2018. However, the last 2 years, last year only played 2 games, and the year before that, I think he only played in 4 or 5. But before that, he played in much more. So I'm assuming he was injured. There's no point of talking about stats for 2 games, but he's just another guy. I'm assuming he played with Cromer, since he's been there since 2018, and that offensive line was good at a certain point in time. So just another guy to bring in. I'm assuming it's going to be extremely cheap because the last 2 years he didn't really play. So if he wants anything more than like vet minimum, I don't think anybody's going to bite at that. So he's another guy that could be very cheap. But again, there's not much to say about him besides, he hasn't played much the last 2 years probably because of injury. And, he's 28 years old, so that's not too old. You can probably get 2 or 3 more good years out of him. So that's just another cheap option.
So the player that I was thinking of, and I agree with everything that you're saying there, Sean. I think it's a great fit too. The player that I'm thinking of is John Simpson, who played the last 3 years with the Las Vegas Raiders, and then last year was with the Baltimore Ravens. I believe that he would be a very good fit for the left guard position and having some competition with David Edwards. I feel like that playing in over 1,100 snaps last year, which is an incredible number, is exactly what Buffalo is looking for. He's a 26-year-old player from Clemson, and he would fit into that depth role for what Buffalo needs for a offensive lineman, fit into the Aaron Cromer style of play as well, and could come in and be one of those players that would be a bargain because you're getting him for a depth piece, and then he could come in and maybe be a starter, which would be incredible off of a 2-year contract, and then the Bills could blossom that into maybe a second contract with the team. So maybe a 2-3-year contract is for a low price. He only had $1 million on his contract last year, so maybe $2 million. That would be a good fit for the team as well.
Absolutely.
But Sean, I do want to go with a wide receiver option this time. And, man, there's a lot of wide receivers on this market. I know a couple of them, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman Jr., are not going to be on the market. But, man, there's some good free agent targets that the Bills could make. And
Evans already signed with Tampa Bay again?
Mike Evans signed with Tampa Bay again, yeah.
Good. I like that. I like that he did that.
Yep. So, I mean, finishing out his career where he started, which is exactly where I think he should have finished out his career. But I do have a good pick here, and I feel like this is a player that the Bills should have gone after a long time ago. But this is a player that it's not really a bargain necessarily, but I feel like he would fit what Buffalo needs in a number 2 wide receiver, especially for a little bit less than what guys like maybe Gabe Davis or even some of the top names that could be on the market would go for. But this is a player that Buffalo has struggled against in the last couple seasons than Tyler Boyd, but he's also a player that has a lot of history with the Buffalo Bills. And he was the one that, if you remember, in the 2017 season with Andy Dalton, he caught the touchdown pass to send the Bills into the playoffs. And that was the first time in 17 years that the Bills went to the playoffs. He was averaging a salary of $10.75 million, but I feel like he's had a couple of down years. He could be on the market right now commanding about $8.7 million, and I think that number is going to be right around $9 million. And if I'm Brandon Beane, I'm going after this guy because he is one of those reliable number 2 targets that you can have on your team. Also a very good vocal leader in the locker room as well. And if I'm looking for somebody that can push Stephon Diggs to the next level, Tyler Boyd is the player. And you can also get another big wide receiver in the draft, and you can move Stephon Diggs inside and play the slot role, which is where I think he fits better, especially towards the end of the career for him. Now, the market value for Bills fan CA is about $8.7 million for him, so that would be a good fit for me if I'm Buffalo. But I do have another free agent bargain that the Bills could find as well, and this is another player on offense that we could see, Sean. But let's go to the running back department this time, okay? Now, we talked about Ty Johnson leaving the Buffalo Bills, Nyheim Hines, Damian Harris that we could see leave as well. There's some big-name free agents on the market: Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, as well as Austin Eckler. But let's move down the line a little bit, and let's talk about a guy that hasn't been relatively healthy, but I think could be a very good fit for the team, in J.K. Dobbins. And I mean that hasn't been healthy. He's had a couple major injuries, but he's only going to command about $2.1 million, playing in a reserved role behind James Cook. I feel like this would be a great fit for him, especially after, like I said, some major injuries with the Baltimore Ravens. Get him healthy, get him behind a good 1,000-yard running back, and have a good 1-2 punch in Buffalo. That would be a good fit for me, but I could see them going another way and going into the draft, getting a running back, though.
Yeah, I like that.
So, Bills fan CA coming in saying, any safeties you guys see in the future?
I didn't look, Mike, because we already signed a safety, and I'm looking to get cheap contracts and getting them through the draft. So, we'll get your guy in the draft.
So I do have a couple of ones that I like. I brought them up on a previous show on the Nickel City Mafia, but a lot of other people have been saying things about these two players, and Darnell Savage, as well as adding in Jeremy Chin. But the safety market, I'm going to tell you this right now. I mean, it's insane. Jamal Adams, Justin Simmons at the top of the list, Budda Baker as well. Eddie Jackson, Quandre Diggs, all going to be commanding over $10 million. But
they're all old too. Simmons is 30, Diggs is 31, Adams is 28. But it'd be cool to get a guy like Adams, but he's more of we have to play dime all the time. He's not really great actually playing safety. He's better in the box. So, But yeah. I mean, to Roy's point, he said the draft alone won't fill out the safety room, and that depends how the Bills go about the safety room because, you got DeMar, you got Rapp. We only carried 5 last year, and if you count Cam Lewis and they move him to safety, and you draft 1, maybe you keep only 4, and then maybe you find like an undrafted free agent to be the 5th guy, or we'll see what happens. But to your point, there's guys to get. It's just I don't want to. Just back to my viewpoint on what we need to do for our future. It's not just sign a bunch of. We're not in the position to sign a bunch of good players now. So right. I'm not going to overpay for free agents just because we need a safety on the team. So, but there might be some cheaper ones.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about somebody that could be a cheaper one. Chuck Clark. I mean, coming from
off ACL, though, I don't want that.
Yeah, that's true. He's coming off of an ACL, but he should be healthy again. Let's talk about an arch nemesis from the New York Jets too that we could add in, Jordan Whitehead. I mean, that would be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills, but I think he's going to command way too much money. Don't get me wrong. Now let's go down. I'm going to go down the list real quick. Deshaun Elliott, I believe that he would be a great fit for the Bills. playing with the Miami Dolphins last year, $1.7 million. That would be a bargain fit for me that I would like. Another player that I think would be a good fit, but I don't think that the Bills are going to go after, Keanu Neal, who was released from the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of weeks ago, would be a great fit as well. And possibly even Tashawn Gibson as well at $2.9 million, free safety from the San Francisco 49ers that could fit that bridge gap for a couple of years. He is 33 years old. It's a little older than a lot of people would want, but could be a veteran player that the Bills would need in that room. But John Robert brings up good points. 26 years old for Savage and 25 years old for Chin. And both would be cheap, which is great too. And Roy Collins bringing up, I think Geno Stone could be an option also.
Yeah.
Good fits as well. So, Sean, let's move on to our next category that we're going to talk about here. And let's talk about losing some significant starters for the Buffalo Bills. And that's something that's hard that we talk about. I mean, we have a lot of veteran players that are going to be missing. And this is the time of year where we start to notice that the veteran players leave the team. You know, it sucks. It's hard and everything. But I want to talk about this, and this is a great point too, is who is going to step up and become a leader in the locker room for the Buffalo Bills? I know that you have guys like Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen in the locker room, but we're going to have a lot of team captains that are leaving. Who do you expect to take over as a captain for the Buffalo Bills coming up in the 2024 season?
Who's going to actually be named a captain, or who should be more of a outspoken leader for the team?
Who do you see as captains, and who do you see as vocal leaders?
I don't know, because 1 year they had like 12 captains, and then last year they had like 4, I think. Or 4, maybe 5. So I don't know what route they're going to go. I'll just stick to who I think should be a vocal leader. Of course, Josh, he should continue to grow as that kind of leader, even though he says he doesn't like to talk. I think that's a problem, especially in the kind of field that he's in. So he needs to step up, continue to step up. I think a guy like Bernard might be able to start if he hasn't already. I feel like he might have to show his presence more. And then, if we re-sign AJ, I think AJ is in a position to do that now. I think Ed Oliver needs to be that type of guy. And then, maybe Taylor Rapp. I mean, Taylor Rapp's been a starter in this league, and now he's got his extension. So maybe so I'm assuming he's going to be a starter. He got his 3-year extension, so he should be at least wanting to be that type of leader. And I don't know. I mean, Dawkins is already that guy, but Dawkins needs to take a bigger role, because if it turns out how I want it to turn out, you'll have a new center. You still got Osiris Torrance, who's a young guy, and you need that. And Dawkins is the most tenured Bill besides Reed Ferguson. So he needs to be that guy on the offensive line to get everybody going and get everybody gelled up. And I mean, Edwards, hopefully it's not Edwards, because not that he's bad, but we finally, and another big thing why I was upset about, they want to move, like John brought it up earlier, they want to move McGovern to center. They said the reason that bothers me the most is because we finally got Dawkins next to a good, very elite left guard. And you saw Dawkins play, which we all talked about, and Nickel City Mafia up in the beginning of the year. His play elevated, and Dawkins could have been an all-pro. And then now if you put Edwards there, that will now be the third left guard next to Dawkins in the last 3 years. Edwards is also on a 2-year deal. So Edwards will be gone probably next year or the year after. So where's the continuity for that? Where's building the future there? You built the future you got McGovern. I think he was 25 when we signed him for a 3-year deal. They were great next to each other. They were like, peanut butter and jelly. And then you got Osiris Torrance, great on that side. Him and Brown did pretty good together, but him and Brown both need to step up and play great 2 years in a row. It's not just 1 year and done. They both got to prove themselves again. So now if you're moving McGovern to center, who he played center in college, he didn't play any center in the NFL because he was on the Cowboys, and it was Travis Frederick and then Tyler Biadasz played center. So McGovern never played center except for college. So then you're moving him to center, and then you're moving Edwards, who was a starter in this league, to left guard. So now Dawkins and Edwards are next to each other. They're different. Edwards isn't better than McGovern at left guard. And then I would rather take my chance of one of these many draft picks as center, as a starter that year instead of McGovern, because I think that would be better, because then you got 4 positions that are the same and you're only changing one instead of changing 2. So that's just for me. And I saw John bring it up earlier, so I just wanted to.
No, I mean, I understand completely. You're exactly right. And I mean, that's a very good point too that you're making, that, I mean, the hardest position that you're going to have to fill is the center position. And you don't want to move a left guard and the center and have less continuity at the same positions on the Bills. So, Sean, I want to bring up one more point before we get into the mock draft that we're going to do in just a couple minutes. We're going to do a 4-round mock draft that we'll finish up the show with. But, Sean, I want to bring up any thoughts that you have on trade targets that the Bills could make, maybe some free agent trade targets that we could see, or even a surprise move that we could see from the Bills, maybe trading away a couple of picks that we have here with the 11 that we have. Do you have any thoughts on trade target?
Not so much, because like I said, I don't think we're not in that position to trade and sign and get rid of our picks. The way it should work when you're building your team, you mainly do it through the draft. And when you got all the core pieces from the draft, and then you think, all right, now we're ready to sign people, that's when you do it. We thought we were ready, so we signed Von Miller. We get Stephon Diggs. We think we're ready. We got all these big-ass contracts. And then now we're in this position where we weren't actually ready, and we overpaid all these people. So, Josh Allen doesn't want to, he signs this big deal. He doesn't take less money. He doesn't take all this, any kind of restructure to make it better for other players when he's getting probably $500 million from all the commercials he does. So it's different. It's different when a quarterback takes less money, because they're probably getting hundreds of millions in commercials, like Dak Prescott on all the bed commercials and all this stuff. Josh is on Verizon, Subway, whatever, and Gillette, all this stuff. You think he's not making enough money? Allen could get $0 from the Buffalo Bills and make $300 million plus a year. So, that's you're on mute still.
Thank you. Got the a little bit of the jitters on the first day back, so I apologize.
No, you're good.
I was on the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial, which is very strange because
drinking hot sauce and Coke.
Which Buffalo Wild Wings is not in Buffalo, and I've heard that they're not the best wings in Buffalo too. So I mean,
of course not.
We could definitely talk about the best wing place in Buffalo. We won't get into that just yet, but we do have. I know we do have a giveaway that we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks before the NFL draft. We will be giving away a gift card to a local restaurant in the Buffalo area for wings and pizza and stuff like that. So stay tuned to that before we get into our obviously our draft covers that we will have. So you got to tune into that and figure out when we will have that giveaway. So click that notification bell and you'll be notified when we are going to do that giveaway coming up.
And to John's comment, he says salary-wise, you want Edwards starting. I'm going to respectfully disagree, but I would also like to hear your opinion on why you think Edwards should be starting based off of that. And again, I could be wrong. I just want to hear your point of view on that. But yeah, I don't think, like I said, we're not in the position, in my opinion, to be trading away picks to get more players that we have to pay. We have 11. We have a lot of spots to fill anyway, and we got 11 picks. I'd be fine trading maybe 2 or 3 of them to move up a little bit to get other players that we need. So go from 11 to 8 or 11 to 9. I'm fine with that. But that's still a great position. Like, look at Miami. They had 27 free agents out of 53 man on their roster, and they got like 5 draft picks. So they're in a really bad position because they were negative 30-something million, and they have no picks, and they got to sign all these players still. So it's tough for them. And for us, we got to start that retooling where we get the right positions in the draft. When we think we're in the right position, D tackles, edge, corner, safety, linebacker, O-line, D-line, all that stuff is ready to go with young contracts and young talent. then you can start signing a guy like a Von Miller. But we were, we thought we were in that position based off of how we were playing, and it just wasn't true. So, unfortunately. But, yeah, I mean, if you want to get into the mock draft, then apparently we only got 3 picks now. So,
hey, I mean, I'm going to do a 4-round mock draft.
Oh, no, we have 2 4th-round picks, don't we?
We do. That's why I'm going to do 2 4th-round picks so that we each get 4. We'll have 4 picks in total, but we'll have 2 picks each. I'm going to be the generous person. I'm going to give Sean the first pick in the draft. But real quick, I do want to bring up a funny point. I know Sean's, the type of person just like myself. We're a little bit disappointed losing out on all these players that we've had for so many years with the Bills. And I know Bills Mafia is not happy with the way that the Bills are moving things around. But I just want to bring up this good point. How funny would it be if Brandon Beane, after all of this, decides, we're going to restructure some contracts, we're going to create some money and everything, and we go out and we make a splash of a move that nobody would have expected that we could have made? Maybe a player like Chris Jones. I mean, I'm just saying, how cool would it be if we went after a guy like Chris Jones or a big name free agent to plug into that defensive tackle position or wide receiver room or the safety position, something that you wouldn't have expected? I wouldn't be surprised. This is Brandon Beane we're talking about, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see Brandon Beane go after a big name free agent or make a run at a big name free agent that you wouldn't expect. Yeah, so he has a plan of where he's going to move things along. But if he goes after Chris Jones or somebody like that and he signs them, then I am going to be ecstatic about the way that the Bills are going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did something like that because he's a moron and it would just screw our team over more. So, and it goes. You guys know. I mean, maybe not the viewers here, but you, Jake, and Mike all know. I've been saying it for 2 years now. If Josh Allen sucked, Brandon Beane would have been fired years ago. And then Brandon Beane himself came out and said, I got criticized about Josh, but my thought was if I fail, I'm out of here anyway. And if I don't, then who cares? And that's exactly what I said. Like if Josh wasn't good at quarterback, this guy would have been out the door years ago. So because Josh Allen's good, he gets the benefit of the doubt. He gets the praise. He gets all this crap, but then everyone forgets all the bad stuff. But if he signed a big free agent and to a massive contract, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, let's get this mock draft going because we got to show the rush hour how to really get a show under an hour.
Yeah, I mean, remember this is the goal that we had for the end of the show. I said 45 minutes, which is never the case. It never happens. We're at the 47-minute mark, guys. We're going to try and keep the show under an hour just to prove a point to Mike Fortin and Jake Podger, who are notorious for going over the 1 hour mark. We got 48 minutes now. Let's get into the mock draft. We're going to go.
Notorious for lying.
We're going to go in the normal speed, which is going to be a fair shot for us to get under that hour point. You ready, Sean, to start this off?
Sure. You could do fast speed, though, because they always do fast speed, so it's only fair.
All right, let's do fast speed then, okay?
We don't give them any handicaps.
All right, no handicaps whatsoever. So let's look at this real quick. I want to go into, before we do the trade offers that we do have. We do have Cooper DeJean going right before us to the Green Bay Packers. Byron Murphy going at 27 to
Can you pull it up so we can see it?
As far as the trade offers?
Oh no, there's just the mock draft in general.
Let me see. Oh, I do apologize. I did not hit the button. Okay, there we go. I did not hit the button, guys. So that way you can see it. I thought I was pulling it up, but Byron Murphy going at 27. Cooper DeJean going at 25. Jackson Powers Johnson, the player that a lot of Bills Mafia wants to going ahead.
I'm telling you what, if at 23 he's not picked yet, and I can promise you this, Dallas Cowboys are not picking a center because they just drafted Biotic, so they're not drafting Jackson Powers Johnson. But regardless, if he's there at 23 and he hasn't been picked yet, and we're at 28, I mean, we traded up a couple picks to get Kincaid last year. I would trade one of the 4th-round picks like we did last year and maybe a 7th to move up to 24 and draft this guy. But since he's already picked, we're going to, obviously look at D tackle. You can put wide receiver. Maybe just edge and safety just to be fun. But yeah, D tackle for sure because there's a lot of good D tackles, but it's not as deep as other positions. And then put wide receiver just to see.
Okay, so you want to go here? You want to see which position?
So this is a different. You can't pick more than one.
I can pick defensive tackle, and what's the other one that you want to see?
I would say just like wide receiver, edge, and safety.
Okay, there's wide receivers that you can see real quick.
They don't mix them together.
No, they don't actually.
Yeah,
So you got wide receivers. You can do.
I don't like any of these receivers round one. So just go to D tackle.
All right, D tackle. You got Leonard Taylor, Sweat, as well as Michael Hall, Rook. I'm going to say his name wrong, but Jake Podger would say it wrong. I'm not going to pronounce the last name.
Check safety too.
And then safety as well. You got Tyler Newbin, Cameron Kitchens, and Bo Braid at the top of the list.
Well, Cameron Kitchens, I still think it's too early for. I'll just go Sweat, honestly, at this point.
Do you want to see the trade offer real quick? You can trade in this draft.
Oh, okay. Might as well look at it.
So you have two trade offers. You have the 28th pick and the 120th.
Oh, hell yeah. Taking that one.
33rd and the 65th pick.
I'm taking that one.
Or you have Cleveland's trade of the 54th pick, the 85th pick for their 2025 second and third round pick.
No, that's trash. I would take the Panthers one.
So do you want to take a pick or do you want to take a trade?
Isn't that what's offered? Pick 33 and 65 for 28 and
127. Yep.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You'll take the trade?
Yeah.
Okay, Magic Beans is taking the trade and accepting it, moving back 3 positions. Now the New York Jets have offered a trade, which I would definitely decline on that one if I was.
Do that one. That's all I'll do is just that one trade.
And then you do have the 35th and the 103rd pick for the Arizona Cardinals to move up 2 spots.
No, that's all right. Let's just pick.
So let's see who you have. You have Bo Nix. This is the top board, the big board that you have. The Mel
Kiper. Ahead of Xavier Worthy in the first round. That's freaking crazy. All right, go to D tackle.
So you do have Leonard Taylor still on the board at defensive tackle. You do have Sweat on the board at defensive tackle as well. And at safety, you do have Tyler Newbin still on the board. Cameron Kitchens still on the board.
Now I'm still going Sweat, baby. So I didn't have to pick him at 28.
All right. Sweat is going to be the first Buffalo Bill in the 2024 draft. Now we do have the 60th pick in the draft here. We do have a trade from the Chicago Bears. I would turn this trade down.
I'm like I said, maybe if there was a real life scenario, maybe I'd look at it because it was more picks. But honestly, I like that first one. I'm just ready to pick. But I go to receiver.
So you do have Jalen Pollock.
I'm picking my boy and Jake's boy Xavier Legette.
Okay, now I just want to pull up something real quick, just for a point, real quick.
Go ahead.
You do have Cameron Kitchens on the board as well in the second round.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. We still got a couple good ones on that board. How about edge too? Go to edge real quick.
Edge, you do have Braylon Trice on the board as well.
Brandon Dorless still okay, but I'll still go with Legette.
Okay, so we're gonna follow Jake Podger, and we are going to get Xavier Legette on the board in the second round. All right, this is the third round pick that we do have for the trade that we made. I would definitely think about turning that down. Let's see the overall market here that we do have. We do have Cedric Van Pran on the board.
Oh yeah, that's right, the center. Oh yeah, go to center. I have a couple of late round centers that I'm interested in.
So you got Cedric on the board. You do have
Tanner. So 2 guys I'm starting to look at are Bo Lemur and then Hunter Nurzad. So I haven't really gotten too deep into it, but I just started to, and they're 2 of the guys. And also Van Pran, that the guy that's got the Italian last name that sounds like Tortellini. He didn't really play good against good teams, so I kind of just went off of him pretty quick. But yeah, I wouldn't go to safety.
Safeties. Here you have Bo Braid, as well as Cole Bishop, Javon Bullard,
I'll
and
go to
Bullard.
edge.
Edge, you have Brandon Dorless still available, Austin Booker, Javon Solomon.
Man, that's tough. So I'm thinking either Dorless or go to center again. Or
Center, you have Van Pran.
Because both of them are going to be gone by our next pick. And
Exactly.
I still think we can get one of those safeties in the next pick after that. So I'm just gonna go Van Pran.
Van Pran is now a Buffalo Bill. This is going to be the first of 2 fourth-round picks that you will have. Let's go with the safety department and just see who is on the board. You did lose a lot of safeties here. You do have Tyke Smith on the board.
We lost Mike's guy. I don't know it was going to be that much of a – there was like 100 picks before our next pick.
I know, right? You do have Cedric.
It was because of that trade. It was because of that trade. But all right, go to –
this is the big board right here just to show you that you do have a bunch of defensive tackles that are on the board.
Go to edge again.
Go to edge again. Here you go for edge. There's a big drop into the 150s for talent that you have. A bunch of edge players have been taken. So
how about wide receiver?
Wide receiver. You do have
Rice is still there.
Rice is on, still available.
Yeah, I'll take Mr. Rice.
All right, Jerry Rice's son is now a Buffalo Bill. And that completes the picks for the Bills in the 4th round that we did have because we did trade that first 4th round pick that we had. So we did.
I probably would have done more trades, but it was just that one was pretty good, and I was like, okay, well now I just kind of wanted to start picking, so we didn't really give it much thought. But I personally like this. We got defensive tackle, which was a need. You got, of course, it's Sweat, who's a fantastic prospect. We got 2 wide receivers, one of them being, I'm not saying Rice is a project, but not one of the big ballers of the draft who could still be talented. And then Leggett, who's going to be one of those guys that is supposed to be very talented. And then Van Pran, who's a good center prospect. And again, I'll have more. I just started, tonight picking prospects. I had a right tackle one, but that's more of like maybe later just to give Brown some competition.
So I'm going to go through it real quick. We do have 2 minutes on the board here real fast. I'm going to go through it real quick and do a second mock draft. These will be the picks that I will make real quick for us. That way you can see I'm going to turn down this trade here. But I do want to see the other trades that we do have. Definitely not taking these picks. All right, let's see who's on the board real quick. You do have offensive tackles as along with cornerbacks. Let me see who's on the board at defensive tackle.
Marius Mims fell down to 28. Damn.
I know. I don't want to take him, though. Even though I know we do need a offensive tackle later in the draft, but I'm going to take Sweat, though. Even though it's a little early, I'm going to take Sweat here with this pick. 2nd round, I'm looking at a wide receiver here. I do like Roman Wilson here, even though he is a little shorter, 5'10". But I think I'm going to go into the safety department real quick and just look at safeties. Do like the safeties that are there, but I think it's a little early. Chris Braswell, another good fit that I think that the Bills could make, 6'3", 251 pounds. The only thing is, a little bit of flexibility issues that they do mention here. But I'm going to look at the center position. Still, Cedric Van Pran available. If you did want to go with Don Beebe's son, you could go with Cooper Beebe.
Hopefully we keep McGovern at guard. So
that's true. So I'm going to get Xavier Leggett here in the 2nd round along with you. A lot of picks that we're going to be missing out on here in the 2nd round. Let's go back to the big board real quick, see who's available. Okay, we do have running backs available along with cornerbacks, but I'm going to go into the defensive room and go at safety. I think that's a little too early to take Tyke Smith. Edge we did have here, but I don't like that. Defensive tackle, don't like. Let's go back on wide receiver as well. Luke McCaffrey might be a good fit here, even though I do like Rice. I do think Luke McCaffrey is going to go a little earlier. I'm going to go Luke McCaffrey. I think it's a little early, but I do like the pick here. In the second pick here in the second round, going with a safety at the last position with Tyke Smith coming in. So that is my 4 picks that I will make here. I know it's a little not exactly what you want to have, but that's exactly where I would go. We are at the 1 hour mark. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter for Go Bills Podcast. You can find Sean on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And you can also find Nickel City Mafia on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll be back for another edition of the Red, White, and Ruthless next Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Until then, go Bills.
Go Bills.